Working with a hand plane does not always require that your material be locked in a vise. Sometimes a very simple planing stop or bench stop is all that's required. It allows you to rotate the board from one side to the other very quickly without messing with a vise. And that can make for much more efficient surfacing of your material. Planing stops such as this one are a very old way of working. And while these things are just as efficient as they always were, just as useful, they seem to be relatively forgotten by a lot of today's woodworkers. Placed in a wooden block like this, they can slide up and down the bench depending on where you need to work, or it can be completely removed if you want to get it out of your way. So why don't we head out to the blacksmith shop and take a look at what it takes to forge a simple planing stop. To make our planing stop, I'm going to start with 4 inches, or roughly 100 millimeters, of 5/8 inch square mild steel. So that's about 16 millimeter square mild steel. Historically, these would have been made out of wrought iron, not tool steel. There's no need to make them out of tool steel and harden and temper them. They don't have any kind of a cutting edge, so you're just going through extra effort to do that. I think mild steel is fine. So let's go get our piece of mild steel hot and get started. I'm going to start with the flared end, and I'm going to do that with half-face blows. And I'm doing these with about 1.5 inches of material through here. I'm going to go to about half the thickness, and then I want to start spreading with the peen of the hammer. And you want to do this by working right down the center initially. Remember, this is going to taper this direction and flare this direction. As it starts to spread, then you can move over one direction and move over the other direction. And I want to spread this till it's about 2 inches. I think 1.5 inches is okay, and 2 inches is about as much as you want. So somewhere in between there is just fine. I guess 2 inches would be about 50 millimeters. That's right about there, but it's not very cleanly forged. So next I'm going to try and clean up these edges and see if I can pull a little bit into this corner right here. So the first thing I'm going to do is try and clean up these edges, and this is a place where I drop down low and squat a little bit so I can get the angles just right. It's certainly nice to be able to stand straight up most of the time at the anvil, but don't hesitate to change your body position if it makes you work better. So that's already better. I was just able to tip the hammer a little bit and pull this corner out. There's always filing and grinding to do, or filing or grinding, however you take a look at that. So I'm going to do just a little bit more to clean that up so I don't have so much filing or grinding. That looks pretty good. There's going to be very little filing of the profile here. Now it's important to note that the side with the step is what's going to be the top in the long run. This little edge right here is actually going to be the outside corner once this is bent. So if you keep this side down through most of this forging, it'll be cleaner and smoother because the anvil is smooth and all your hammer marks will be on the back side. Now I want to draw out the point, or I should say draw out the taper. It does not need to come to a sharp point. Starting out over the horn is a good place for this. Like I say, this does not need to come to a sharp point. Just a graceful taper so it's easier to install. I've also switched to a pair of slotted jaw tongs that work real well for this. I've done a video on making a similar set, and I'll link to that up in this corner somewhere. It's just a matter of cleaning up the taper at this point. That's really all there is to it. Now it would seem like the next logical step is to bend this, but my touch mark goes right here on this flat. Now if you're putting your touch mark elsewhere, this might not be important, but it's way easier to put the touch mark in while it's straight. And like always, I prefer to just do this under the treadle hammer. Put that in the vise and just give it a near 90-degree bend there. And we'll bring it back and finish the bend from the other direction. We'll put that in there just a little bit short of going all the way down. So I get a little upset in that corner. Now look at it and make sure it's straight. If it's veering off to one side, it's probably because you're tipping your hammer, and tipping it the other way can straighten it out. Frequently that needs a little adjustment after that, but that's pretty good right there. So any last minute straightening and adjusting can be done at the anvil. Now it's real common for this plane here to be out of square with the shaft. So be real careful about making sure you get that squared back up, whatever it takes. Try not to go too far. That's pretty darn good. You'll also notice that in this direction it isn't quite square. That way it sits up just above the workbench, and any planing will go over the top of it. And if you dive your plane down in use, you're less likely to hit this. So that is all of the forging steps for our planing stop. We'll let that cool. First thing I want to do is file the edges of the planing stop so that they are straight across, and this is even on both sides. This side looks like it's a little bit wider than that side, so I want to correct that first. Because this tapers, it's a little hard to get it to hold the vise just right, but you can do it. Sorry about the squeal. And once you're happy with that, it's time to make this straight across and parallel with the square shank. And that should be all the filing that you have to do to the profile and get it all shaped just right. You can certainly do some of this with a hot rasp while you still have the forge lit. However, I usually do these in batches of about a dozen. So I typically do all the forge work, then I let them cool, and then I worry about the shape. I also typically use a belt grinder because, again, I'm doing them in batches as a production for-profit item, much faster than filing, but there's nothing wrong with using a file if that's the technology you have available. Now that you've got it all profiled and ready to go, it's time to put some teeth in it. This one is just right at the 1.5 inches, which is what I consider my minimum. And I put the teeth at 1/4 inch increments. I just mark them with a pencil. And I think it's easier to saw the beginning of the teeth in to give yourself a file notch. And that's just because my triangular file tends to block my vision, and it's real easy to be off of the mark that way. And I'll frequently use the little portaband to do this, but for the video I think we can do it with a hacksaw. I just put a little notch in. Feels like I got some teeth missing on my hacksaw here. And hopefully end up with evenly spaced teeth. If they are not, you'll have to fix that. And I use a triangular file. I cut the teeth in. Take even number of strokes for each tooth to start with. I wasn't counting, so hopefully these are even. Now because this one ended up a little wide, I'm going to pull the file this way a little as I file. And then do the other one pulling the file the other way. And try and even that out a little bit. Not too hard to do. And then do the end ones. Just do your best job. Now the material you're planing doesn't really care if the teeth are even. It just looks better if they're even. And I also like to, because these are only pointy in one dimension, I like to bevel this off this way so that they're little pyramid shaped teeth. You can do that at the grinder if you're real careful and don't go too far, or you can do it with a file. And that is all we have to do to that. Frequently I will go ahead and put these back in the fire, heat it up, wire brush it one last time, let it cool so it's all one color, and put some wax on it as it cools. Well, here's our completed planing stop, or bench stop as they're sometimes called. Really a fairly simple little project, nothing fancy. Again, it's just made out of mild steel. There's no reason to take your time to use tool steel or anything particularly difficult to forge to make one of these things. They just don't need to be that hard. Now anybody that was paying attention probably noticed that I wasn't over here at my usual woodworking workbench when I was demonstrating how to use a planing stop. And that's because I haven't got one installed in this workbench yet. So I was using this little portable workbench that I sometimes take to shows for the exclusive purpose of demonstrating how to use things like planing stops and holdfasts. But sooner or later, I need to get one of these mounted in the big workbench. I do have this nice big 2-inch square hole already mortised into this bench. I just never seem to have planing stops on hand long enough to keep one for myself. So maybe one of the ones that I'm making in the current batch will end up being one I get to keep, and if so, we'll show you how to mount one of these in a wooden block, which is always a bit problematic because they really do want to split the block. They're an excellent splitting wedge when it comes to little square blocks like this. There are probably also some YouTube creators out there who specialize in woodworking who will show how to do this properly. In fact, I'm going to go look for some of their information before I tackle this project. So if you want to know how to do it, maybe you ought to just search YouTube and see if you can figure out how to install a planing stop or a bench stop in your workbench. Some of you may have noticed that the wood shop is a little bit of a shambles right now. I've taken down the temporary storage for all the hand planes. It was just leaning against the wall, and I'm currently working on the tool cabinet that will hold that. So I got tools set here and set there because I need to be able to, because I'm working on trying to get just the right layout for that. But once I get that done, then maybe we'll take a look at doing the planing stop, and that would make an excellent follow-up video to this video. The other thing we might do is another video on planing stops showing some decorative file work. These are a real good candidate for decorative file work if you're into that. They certainly don't need it. This is a standalone project the way we made it today. But if you'd like to go just that little bit extra, do a little bit more, some decorative file work can be kind of nice, and maybe we'll do that as another video as well. But in any case, I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up if you did. If you haven't done so already, I would love it if you hit that subscribe button. Feel free to stick around, watch a few of the other videos, share the videos with your friends. But then hopefully you can make time in your day to either get into your wood shop or into your blacksmith shop, make something, but stay safe, wear your safety glasses. We'll see you for the next one.